Hello and welcome to this section. In this lesson, we will explain the application of sliding time axis. Let's open the editor, where we can choose an application name called Weather Parallax, and then create the top level, so we have completed the creation of an application. Let's first look at the effect of the finished application, which is an application effect of our weather parallax. As you can see, when I slide my hand slightly, it will automatically switch the weather. Let's look again. You can see that the weather has switched again, and then you can see that the weather has switched again. When I slide backward, you can see that the weather will also have a reverse switching effect. This is an application to be completed in this lesson. One effect is a part of our weather difference. So first of all, we should finish the most basic UI building. Let's switch back to our weather parallax case. First of all, in order to prevent our widget from running naked under the front end, what should we do? Yes, first add a page, and then what do we want to add under our page? In the last lesson, I mentioned to you that in order to have a better experience of our animation effect, we usually make a production in what environment? Yes, it is our canvas environment, so we select our page and click our canvas, so we add a canvas to our page. At present, we are in a relatively positioning environment, so the width and height of a canvas are 100% by default, so we don't have to draw an additional area for it. Then we select our canvas. As we just said, how do we achieve such an effect? By sliding, right? So what are we going to add? Slide the timeline, right? Therefore, when we select the canvas, we click our sliding timeline. We can draw a sliding area for a sliding timeline. Here we can draw such an area a little larger. Let's return XY to 0, set its width to 375, and then set its height to 667, so that it occupies the whole area such a screen, and then we change its color a little lighter. This is an area where we draw a sliding timeline. Next, let's make a basic UI. Let's first analyze such a UI. First of all, let's take a look at such a piece, and how our final effect will be to complete a production. Because we first found that when I slide, such a whole piece of content comes up together with such an element material. Then, if such a weather icon and the following icon carry out a movement respectively, we made it clear first a little bit of it is such a whole piece of content. We can package a piece of it and the content. Otherwise, the color of such a whole area is also different. What widget should we use to pack it together? In fact, we have mentioned to you before our packaged content. We usually use our object group for packaging. Here we choose such an object group. We draw a part of the area for it, and then we draw such an object group, and then slightly adjust its width and height. We set it XY to 00, so that there will be no gap between it and the upper left corner. Then adjust its width to 375, and its height to 300. In the same way, it has a basic color. Let's take such a basic color, and set it to such a background color. Next, we select such an object group. We double-click it to rename it. Why can we see that it looks like a sunny day? So we name such an object group as a sunny day, and then sunny day, the left side is an icon of sunny day, then the top is a text, and the bottom is also a text, then we add the corresponding material to a basic one. When we select sunny day, we click a picture widget on the left side, and click, let's draw an icon like sunny day here. We can make a slight adjustment here. For example, adjust its width and height to 150. Then we select the day before yesterday to add some additional ingredients for it. For example, there is a weather situation here. Here we can directly adjust the icon on the right. Such a material is cut for it, so that we can complete the production of a whole piece. Next, on the right is an effect of morning. Let's select such a picture and upload one of ours for him. A morning like morning will be uploaded, and then we can adjust it a little, and adjust its size a little. This is mainly a sign, so we don't have to adjust it exactly like the one on the left. We move it up a little, and then there is an effect like sunny in the lower part of the area. We also selected our picture materials can be uploaded one by one. Similarly, we can also make a simple adjustment for a material here. Here we should pay attention to that, for a picture like me, I place it above the half of the center, and the lower part is below the half of the center. Why do I do this? Because we can see that when we slide here, such a sunny will fall down, and finally it occupies half here. So in fact, every time we slide, we make such a part of the content move up to a fixed position, and then block it with the content of the following part. Of course, there is no attention or problem here. That is, when we finish a practical effect production, we will also find such a problem in the process. Then we can make a copy of the material on such a sunny day, and then click our sliding timeline to paste it. What is a sunny day? After a sunny day, it is a cloudy day for us, so we change the name of the second sunny day here to our cloudy day. Then we destroy this. Let's see an effect of cloudy. What should we do? Let's bring it here, and then first take the cloudy primary color, and change a cloudy background color into such a color. Okay, then we change one of its axes. Initially, the cloudy is in the lower half, so it is in the lower part, so how far is its initial position from the vertex? Is it a distance on such a sunny day above, so it is 300 pixels away from here, so we select cloudy, we adjust its y-axis to a 300, and the first time here inexplicably becomes 1. Let's trim it. Here is also -1 trimming, so we can find such a cloudy location, and then replace the material in it. For example, for such a sun, we change it into a cloudy effect, and then this is day, and then a +3. We also replace this material. Similarly, it is a cloudy icon below. We also make it cloudy, so that we can make a cloudy material again. Then we select cloudy, and then we copy and paste a copy of this cloudy. What's below? Let's have a look. Is it raining when it's cloudy? So let's intercept a material like rain and follow it. Let's paste a copy of the same color, and then this is our light rain. We need to modify one of its colors. Then let's take a look at the default distance from the above. Is the default distance on the sentence half of that on this side, plus the integrity of this side? We set the height of an object group here to 300, and then add the half to 450. Therefore, in such a rain, its default y-axis is 450, right? Then, similarly, we also make a series of substitutions for the material here. For example, it is an icon of rain here. We change it to rain here, and then we also make a substitution for the same text here. We also make a substitution for the following text of rain, so that we have completed a very basic one. In this way, we have done a good job in the basic UI. We have done 4 in the demonstration. When we explain here, we can do 3 of them, and then leave 1 for everyone to finish after class. Because this is controlled by sliding, it is done by our sliding time axis. But what is the biggest difference between our sliding time axis and our ordinary time axis? The biggest difference is actually the effect of our gesture control, and the animation is exactly the same as our previous practice. Therefore, we first do the first animation, that is, such an object group moves upward, and then such a sun falls. Therefore, we will find one thing, that is, the material here and the elements here. What is it like? It moves synchronously, so we need to find out which objects have such a track movement. Let's slide and see if such a sunny has a sliding effect. The sun on its left also has an effect of sliding down. Then we can find that a sun on this side also appears here after it comes down here. Therefore, this sun also has an effect. When it comes down here, does the cloud on this side also appear slowly upward, and then the whole material also appears synchronously, so we can find that there are a lot of object groups here, so let's make it step by step. First, let's make such a whole piece of content, which has the effect of moving online. So we select a cloudy weather like ours. When we select a cloudy weather, we add a track for it. When we select such a track, let's mark a keyframe for it at the first point. There's plenty of time here. We don't want to interval every 0.5 seconds. We let him interval every second. However, then we hit its second keyframe at 1 second. What displacement does the second keyframe teach it at 0 second? Does its y-axis translate upward? So here we change its y-axis to 150 pixels, so does it have a moving effect? So the first step we've done so far is to take a y-axis, which will move a word upward, and then we'll take a look. In addition to such a word moving upward, does the sun and the text move downward one by one? So let's first select such a sun. We also add a track for such a sun. We can change the track type to a straight line. Then what effect does it have? Is it going to move down as the text moves up? So, similarly, we type a keyword at 0 seconds, and then we also type a key pin for it at 1 second. Then, what is the visual effect of such a sun at 1 second? Does it set go down? As for where it will it fall in such a dark cloud, so we can move down roughly. Let's take another look at the effect of the sun setting when we come out and go in. Then we also type such a text. It also has an effect that the text moves from bottom to top. Therefore, we are selecting such a text, and we are adding a track for it. How does it move? First of all, the initial position is still here. Yes, then when our sun moves downward, it also moves downward, so we also add a keyframe for it 1 second here. What does it want to do in 1 second? It's going to move down in advance, isn't it? So let's also add a movement of our y-axis here. We can set a little more here. Then let's take a look at one of the effects, and make another adjustment. This way up, this way down, this is almost a replacement effect at the same time, so we can do a good job in the track of these 3 days. Let's see what's worse. Will this material automatically go up, and then this material will automatically move up? Next, we will make such a text at the same time. We select such a text and add a track for it. Please pay attention to this track. How should we type this track? First, we select the 1 second keyframe to play the next keyframe for it, and then we switch to 0 seconds to play the next keyframe. What should we modify is its 1 second position, or 0 seconds position. Let's take a look here. It reaches such a position when it reaches the last, so it should be at the next level at 0 seconds. The position of the surface will return to such a position after 1 second of movement, so the position of 1 second is its last position, and its position of 0 second should be a little lower. Therefore, when we select it for 0 second, we will increase one of its y-axis for it. For example, let's take a 250 here. Let's take a look at an effect. Here we can also move it out. We can see that now we have a very basic effect of the sun falling, then the text falling, and then the text rising, and then the following text chasing up. What's next? Is it such an icon that should appear synchronously, that is, when the sun sets, such an icon should be displayed? Where should we find such a critical point for us to make a very close effect? Do we find such a point at the moment when the sun sets? So let's gently drag a sliding rod of a time axis on our side to find such a position. Is this a place where the sun will disappear immediately? So in this key, we really make a key pin for such a cloudy weather, select such a position, we make its keyframe, and then reach the position of 1 second. Is cloudy in such a position? So let's select the position of 1 second, and make a second keyframe for it. Let's go back to such a cloudy position. When he was in this position, did he happen to appear at the same time as such a sun? So when we select such a sun and a cloudy area in our lower half, we return to this keyframe, and then we move it up. What are we going to do? Do we want him to appear synchronously, so let him have an overlapping effect with our sun here. Let's take a look at the effect. When I drag down, the sun sets, and then it sets down when it is cloudy, so the first sliding effect is completed. Then we can preview to see an effect. Let's turn on the check first. Similarly, let's refresh here, because these elements will be squeezed in the canvas. Then we can drag an effect, and you can see that an initial sliding effect will come out here. It's a little bit fast. Maybe we can't see it clearly. Here, we can slow it down a little bit by moving one of its time axes, and playing it at a multiple of 0.2. Let's preview it again. Here we can see a relatively clear effect, but there is still a flaw. What is it? Is it such a cloudy area? Before it enters this area, I don't want it to be displayed. Then when it enters such an area, I let it display again. What will we use? Will we use a mask effect? Then let's recall what is the definition of our mask. Where we want it to be displayed, we set a mask for it. We want to display a multi-cloud object group in the range of multi-cloud, so we can set a no for it in the range of multi-cloud. We select multi-cloud and select a picture widget on our side. We upload such a whole piece of content to a picture with a white background. We set its width and height and its coordinates to be exactly consistent with our cloud range, so that we can see the white content displayed here. How can we make it non-cloud often miraculously disappear? Do you just use our mask effect? I hope that the cloudy area will be displayed in the white area. It will not be displayed until it comes down. Therefore, I will select a mask object here as our white background. We will make it a clear, white background here. OK, let's preview an effect. We can see that the effect of a parallax appears completely. We can set it a little bit smaller. It seems that a tail is exposed below. Let's see what causes it. This way. This way should be 300. Let's have a preview. OK, then we'll finish the photo effect of our one. In the same way, let's do the following part. The first step is to make a basic observation. When we slide up, such a whole area moves on the internet. Therefore, we select this object group, which is called rain. We add a track for it. For such a rain, where should it be marked with our first key pin? Is it completely immobile in 1 second? So we hit the first key needle for him in 1 second, and then we hit our second key needle for him in 2 seconds. What is the biggest difference when it reaches 2 seconds? Did this part move 150 pixels up, so its y-axis becomes a 300? Here, let's take another look, so that it can move such a 300 pixel up, and then such a text. Will it also move up slowly from the bottom? So we select such a text and add a track for him. Similarly, we hit our first key pin for him in 1 second, and then hit the second key pin for him in 2 seconds. We select one of us and reselect our text. When he was 2 seconds away, we gave him our second key needle. When he reached the original position 2 seconds later, so one of its bends was a little lower in 1 second, so here we will increase one of its y-axes, such as 250. Here we'll take another look at the effect. When we go up here, it also has an effect of an action from the bottom up. OK, so we can do the rain content from bottom to top. Besides the rain content from bottom to top, what effect does it have? We can have a look. Will this cloudy effect also move up with us, and at the same time, it will lower itself, right? From 2 seconds to 3 seconds, he himself made a descent. So we have to choose so many clouds to add one of our key players for him. This is true when it is cloudy in 1 second. Yes, it must fall when it reaches 2 seconds. Therefore, when we select 2 seconds, it will fall in 2 seconds in order to lay down the next keyframe. What is the falling? It's just that its y-axis is getting bigger again, isn't it? So it can actually be said that it has returned to the initial position. Let's return its y-axis to a position of 250. Let's take a look at the general effect. When we preview it, this one is going down and this one is going up. He pursues such a content, and then he is going down, and then a text here is going up to such a position. Yes, this is an effect we want to achieve. And what's the difference? Is it such a cloudy effect that it should go down? So when we select a cloudy icon like ours, what should it do in 2 seconds? It should be down, right? So we select it, add a keyframe to it, and then it should fall in 2 seconds, so we dig it away, and make it bigger, such as 187, so it will have a falling effect from 1 second to 2 seconds. Then, if it goes down, should a rain icon also go down to such a position? So we add such a track to such a rain icon, and then it will be fixed in such a position in 2 seconds, so let's select a time of 2 seconds first hit a keyframe at the end of him, and then let's find out when he appears and starts to move. Let's move back. We can see if this is an intersection of us. Is it an effect of the intersection of cloudy here and light rain below at this moment? We can move a little more, which is almost in such a position. Let's put a key pin on it here. So it's equivalent to starting at this position. It will appear in our lower area, so we can move it up and make its last raindrop overlap with a cloudy effect on our side. Let's take a look again. In this way it moves down. At the same time, it moves down here. When it moves here, there is a cloudy effect. Then, what do we want to add at last? Do we want to make such a cloudy effect? Do not display it when it is not within this area. We want it to display whether it is this area within which area. Therefore, we select an area such as rain and add a white background mask exactly as large as itself. So here we add a picture with a white background. We set its width and height slightly. Okay, let's make sure the opinion is like this. We want such an icon to be displayed on a white background. Similarly, we will change its name to our white background. We select such a weather time difference and select our white background in a manufacturing object here, because it will only be displayed in our white background. Then what are we going to do for it? Are we going to add one of our keyframes for it? So let's select our sliding timeline. There will be several keys in total. Let's think about whether there is a keyframe at this point and a keyframe at this point. Therefore, we add its first key value in 1 second. We select a time mark here as 1 second, and then click a time mark here to add the keyframe of the first time mark for it. Similarly, we add a keyframe of a time mark to it in 2 seconds, so that it can have it in 1 and 2 seconds 2 keyframes, and then we select the sliding time axis to set a series of property for him. This side only moves for 2 seconds, so we can change the original time length to a 2 seconds, and then the same sliding effect on this side. We can change it to automatically control one of our keyframes, and then jump for 0.3 seconds. If it is short, we can change it to an effect of 0.5 seconds, and then have a preview. Then, when I stroke it, I can see that it automatically transitions to the next keyframe after 0.5 seconds, so it automatically plays such an animation within 0.1 seconds. Let me slide it again. It takes another second to play our animation for 1 to 2 seconds. And then we can do an effect of sliding the time axis. So here, let me make a very key summary for you. For the effect of our animation, whether it's our timeline or sliding timeline, what do we want to do? Is to find out exactly which objects have a motion track. We need to add its tracks separately for these objects with track motion, and then unify an effect of their track motion through one of our time axes, or sliding time axes. Then the second point is that we need to accumulate. For an object group like us, I add such a track to the subset of the object group. What will happen to it? He will carry out a unified movement with all the elements in our object group, and then if he has his own idea of a local element, we can select such a local element and add its trajectory under this local element. That is, while we are moving as a whole, parts are also moving. How can we understand such an effect? Such an object group is equivalent to our bus. I add a track to our bus, and the bus will move towards some of the tracks we have scheduled. Then I select a person in the car. I let the person move from the rear to the front, and I also add a track to him. Then, while our bus moves towards the predetermined track, the villains in the car can also have their own ideas and make a movement, so there will be an effect of track superposition, and then this is a skill often used in making animation. Finally, let's talk about the effect of one of our masks. The so-called mask is the area in which you want it to be displayed. You can add a white background in that area, then select the object you want to add the mask, and select one of its manufacturing objects as such a white background. When we make our sliding time axis, we basically complete a production according to a thought of our time axis, and then we finally set the special properties of our sliding time axis, including our sliding direction, sliding effect and jump time. That's all the content of this section. Thank you for watching.